You growing up, let's say school-wise, how was it for you? What actually were you studying in school before, you said that because of music in my family or you have a musical background, so you switch to the music side?
Well, I did all my primary care, secondary school, and back in Belize. So, I went to Anglican high school.
Okay.
I graduated, and that's when I migrated to the United States to further my education.
Okay.
So once I was here, then, I got involved with the music scene.
Okay. So if I may ask you, for how long have you been, professionally doing music? Because I know from 1972 that, you moved to the state, that music was your, let's say, your focus. So from that time, what really, have you really, come out with, or let's say, what really motivates you doing stuff like that?
Well, growing up in Belize, we listened to Bob and Peter and Toots and Black Uhuru and everything else, all the other big artists, that was the main music that I listened to as a teenager. And so I always had music as a part of my studies. Once I came to the States, I had the opportunity to be involved with the DJs. My younger brothers were DJs. And so, I was always around there. Again, like I stated earlier, the rest of the community used to come down to my mom's basement. And that was the early days of chatting, in the mid 70s and late 70s. So that was when, I got involved with just sitting there, and I decided that following that, I would try to record some reggae music.
Okay.
So I had, around me all the time, I had DJs and I had selectors, and they were putting on shows.
So if I may ask you, is that where the name Doc came in? Because it looks like you've been serving your community, the Afro-Caribbeans, for the past 40 years. Is that where the name Doc came in? Can you give us,
I figured you would ask that. I actually went to school for medicine. So I'm a medical doctor.
Okay.
And the thing that kept me going in medical school was the music. It was tough going through the medical studies. I went to the university, and then I went I became a MD.
Okay.
In the States, it's an MD. So that gave me the opportunity with my meager salary working for the government, that I could do something to keep my mind focused on my career.
Yeah.
And so I was always at the shows. I was always at Anthony B. I was always at rest in peace, the granddaddy Uroy, when he would come to do shows in Chicago.
Yeah.
So being a part of that, and being a physician, I have a different respect from the community, because now I could interact with the community leaders and talk about gun violence, talk about what's necessary for the communities of color in Chicago, especially in the Caribbean and African communities.
Okay.
And that put me
okay, go on.
That gave me another stripe to interact daily and weekly.
Okay. Wow. So in 1992, we're moving forward, and definitely we come to the reason why we're here today. In 1992, you came up with a project, that's a Manette record. In 1992, came up with a project which you had a lot of Jamaican artists on. Someone would say a doctor might earn more than a sound engineer or something like that. Tell us about the 1992, the album or the record that you brought out, which you had so many artists on there.
During, in 1992, I one of the first artists that I had working with as a producer, executive producer, was an R&B, a young R&B group in Chicago, because I was heavily also involved with the urban music in Chicago during that time. And they were very young, similar to the young boy bands that you see now, like Boys to Men. That was around the time Boys to Men and the other boy groups were coming out. And following that, I recorded for the first time Guyanese dancehall selector, Daddy Youth, who subsequently is living now in Guyana. But that was the first reggae recording that I did. But I was always involved with the urban music, the hip hop, the early hip hop, and the R&B and the house music, especially the house music from Chicago.
Okay.
But always had reggae and Afrobeat as a central core that I would further want to experiment with, and so that's how we got to.
So after recording your first track with a Guyanese artist, how was it for you as a young producer coming out and you've heard something that you did on the radio, or you went to a dance and you heard someone playing it? How was it for you? Did that motivate you to do more?
When I say producer, I would be working with the producer for the track, then in which what I wanted, what song I needed, and how I needed the song to sound like, with the producer. And during that time, stuff was all analog, just turning into digital.
Yeah.
And so I had to be at the studio with the artists and talk to the engineer. I worked closely with the engineers. As a matter of fact, I will say this was during the time when the big artist Kanye West, when he was just coming out. So what happened was, the engineers would ask me during that time when hip hop was just blossoming. We had open mics in Chicago, and my guy would ask me, he would say, Doc, listen, we need some other artists and new genre, because for the open mics during that time, we would have like 100 artists, hip hop artists, come to show up for the open mic. And no R&B, no reggae, no Latin music. And so he would endorse me to, Doc, just bring the artists that you're working with. So my artist was fortunate to be on the same stage that young Kanye West used to show his skills in Chicago. And some of the other artists, like when Common, Common, and you heard of Twister.
Yeah,
and
Twister,
so the young artists the young reggae artists used to be on the same stage with these people. The first, so when I decided to transition into to taking on the reggae music, I met this producer in Chicago and singer. He was an R&B singer. He's still an R&B singer. Dylan Reed, Jamaican youth. Me and him, we bonded. And I said, listen, I need to record the reggae artists I'm in Chicago, because I knew everybody. And so, and people were like, okay, Doc, if you're going to record us, let's get the recording done.
Okay.
And so I endorsed Dylan to do the production, with myself. We would sit down and listen to tracks and say, well, I like this kind of beat. I want, let's get on the Pro Tools at the time, and let's see how the song sound. And, we would come up with something. Now, Dylan decided that, he said, Doctor said, listen, I need the real song from reggae in Jamaica. So we decided, together for him to move back to Jamaica and to start from scratch to see how we could get the fine-tuned songs, the drum and the bass from,
everything live,
known producers. And so that's where the first album that Sata Masagana, that's where the first album came to being. Following, we had other singles, but we worked out at Tough Gang Studios, And yeah, and we found a lot of studios until he set up, we set up our own studio down in Jamaica.
So being the CEO of Managed Records, and you're doing well out there, how is it for you, dealing with artists? Because I know you have the experience, so how is it for you dealing with artists?
Well, I will say, I love, number one, I'm a physician, so, I love dealing with people. I love to, my kids said, well, Dad, you're a hypist. You're always saluting and you're always pushing people to the maximum. And that is what have given me joy all these years, I want to help young people of the African diaspora. I want them to know that, even though I'm a physician, I could work with you with music. I could help you promote your music. And so that was the respect that I got in Chicago, in the hip hop community, in the R&B community, and all the music communities here. So I was well surrounded by people of all genre, and so that was how my respect came in the Chicagoland area. But I work with kids from the underserved communities to kids, in the overserved communities. And so, I didn't cross no line. And, the kids and youths in the city respect me. Just maybe a few years ago, they gave me an award, which I dearly hold to my heart, the mayor of hip hop in Chicago. And for you to get that award, you don't have to run for office.
It doesn't come easy, because you've been in the industry for a long time. So, moving on, Massive and Crew, don't forget, on the other side, that's Mr. Calvin Flowers. He goes also by the name Doc, yes. And tonight we are here to talk about his brand new album that is out and is making waves. And allow me, I tell you, if you listen at the background, I have a couple of them, just playing them through, but we'll be talking about them as well. So, Mr. Calvin, what has been some of the ups and downs? I know I can see you're a very calm man. What has been the ups and downs, through this musical journey? I've been involved when there was analog, and now there's digital. So music has changed, and the artists, especially the young artists, they need to understand the difference between the analog system and the digital system. And so that is a big thing today. With when you look around, everything is online, everything is digital. You got to get the MP. I remember pressing records in Jamaica. It took like a month for me to receive the records here in Chicago and to send it out to England and to send it to Canada. But now you click a button on an MP3 or an MP4, you could send it in 1 second. 1 second,
so, with that, I am overjoyed that this is where music is going, because there are a lot of opportunities. And one of the things that I stress to artists, you don't have to be an artist to make music your career. There's enough money floating around in music. If you look at the business news, if you look at the acquisitions,
not necessarily being the main artist,
millions of dollars. And so you have to get involved, and you have to know the business. This is a business. This is not a hobby.
Wow. So, Massive and Crew, once again, Mr. Calvin Flowers. So, Mr. Calvin, this evening we're here looking at our time. It's 16 minutes to the top of the hour, all the way from the US of A, Chicago. Massive from Belize, big up on the self each and every time. He's one of your own. Jamaican Massive, we can't forget you people out there. And to all of my Africans out there, because we are the link to Africa. We ourselves, and this is what we're doing at the moment with the boss himself. He's been in the industry for a long time, and these are the men, the brains that we need on this show. It's the Reggae Catalogue. So, Mr. Calvin, let's talk about the brand new Sata Massa Ghana. Break it down for us. Let the listeners know, because last week I think I did a video with a mix of this poem, and a lot of people are commenting on it that now the rhythm itself is on point. Take us through that.
Well, I will just a little history. In 1999, we did a Satamasagana rhythm in Jamaica, and that was the one that you were talking about earlier.
Okay.
And I was fortunate to have some of the big artists at the time. Anthony B, Dreaded and Dread. I had Everton Blender, Lukey D, Paul Elliott, Ninja Man. I had
all the top
also,
rankings, yeah.
Also, I had the verification from Bernard Collins, the original Abyssinian, who jumped on that rhythm. So, Manatee Records is the only record label that the original Abyssinians jumped on the Satamasagana rendition. And so I was honored that I was not going to do another Sata rhythm. And so over the ills that fell on us in 2020, with the COVID, I decided, well, you know what? I think it's time to redo a Sata rhythm.
Okay.
And I spoke with my producer, also in a Belizean, and he's currently in Belize right now. Okay. Nathan Castro, better known as Mikey Lion. I reached out to him. I said, listen, I need to have you done on this project. And so I sent him a copy of the rhythm that I did in 1998. And I said, listen, I want a little more horns and less. I don't want it to sound the same, because with the verification from the Abyssinians on that rhythm, I don't want it to sound the same. I don't want it to sound like the original. And so he sent me a couple things, and we talked and back and forth. And that is the product, the rhythm. When he sent me the instrumental that he had built, I said, this is what is needed.
This is what you want.
Right. So the kids, because there are a lot of kids, Selector. There are a lot of kids that never heard the Satamasagana rhythm, and it is such an iconic track that they have to hear it.
So talking about 2020, whereby we had this COVID, and calling on these artists to come on this rhythm, was it that hard for you to do it, or when you sent it to them, they just responded?
It is. Listen, I will tell you, it took a whole year. As you know, the rhythm, we just released the rhythm a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The entire COVID, I was sending out the instrumental to artists. Some artists felt it, some artists didn't.
Okay.
And so I said, you know what? I must call this rhythm in, because if I don't call it in, it's going to be 3 years before the rhythm is made.
Yeah.
And so I call Ute, the big 90s dancehall artist Don Ute.
Yeah.
I called Don Ute. So this is just some of the ups and downs that you're talking about. I called Don Ute and I said, listen, I sent you this rhythm 7 months ago, and I'm closing it off. I need to do the rhythm. And so Don Ute said, well, Father, I didn't receive a rhythm from you. I went back and looked, and I forgot to make the attachment for the instrumental.
Wow.
And the other guy, the big artist in Jamaica now that's making a lot of noise is Teardrops. And his story was similar to that, to Don Ute, where I called him and I said, listen, I need to pull this rhythm now. Everybody, I had the rhythm for 5-6 months. And so what happened, Teardrops gives me the story, and his big song is the Wake Up List. That's on all the radio waves in Jamaica and all globally right now. But he gave me the story that one day, after I reached back to him, he jumped up and he said, I know he had the rhythm sitting down, and he was doing other rhythms. And so suddenly he jumped up, and he said, that's why he got the song. And he decided he's going to go to the studio. He jumped out of bed, and he went to the studio and recorded this hit single, The Wake Up List.
Wow.
And so that is one of the big songs. It's on all the radio stations.
One artist on the album that I wanted to find out how, working with him was, that's Ras Ash. Was it difficult?
Well, Go ahead, selector. Ras Ash.
Yeah.
You know what? How I was looking, I wanted young artists that were coming up. I talked to more veteran artists. As you see, there's several veteran artists. Dan Ute, Winston Mcenough. I don't know if you know that Winston is one of the last greatest iconic reggae producer and artists that we still have today. You know, we're losing them. We're losing them, you know, throughout the year. Last year, you know, we've lost a whole lot of the iconic artists from the reggae community. But Winston Mcenough, he was the bridge for European countries and Jamaica to bring Jamaican artists into Europe, especially France and England. So, you know, he's very quiet man. I never knew of him until I gave the song to his son, who was a big artist, Ishmael Mcenough, in France, in Paris and around Belgium. I mean, well known throughout Europe. And I gave him the song. I gave the son the song, and he sent the song to his dad. Now, I never heard of Winston, honestly.
Wow.
And then when I researched him, I'm like, oh, wow. This gentleman here, and he wanted to record. So now we have a whole spread of veterans and young artists that never heard the rhythm before.
Yeah,
and so that was the blend. That was the blend that I wanted.
Good. So for now, what has been the response? You know, I mean, I know it's getting a lot of airplay. You know, I mean, working with this artist and that. What has been the response? Talking about fans and that, and where can we purchase this great, you know, work that you put out there?
Ishmael, when I spoke with Ishmael, and I'll tell you, I've had some long conversations with the artist, longer than I ever did for other rhythms. You know, we had the Virus rhythm, we had the Red Bull rhythm, we had the Ginseng rhythm, you know, so we over the years, Manatee Records have produced many rhythms, you know, The Mission with Capleton, the one Mission album with Capleton and Anthony B. Most of those were from Manatee Records. And so, you know, with this rhythm, I spoke with the artist and personally. Usually the producers would speak to the artist, but I had a long conversations, and it was COVID. So, you know, with COVID, you know, I was online with these guys for hours, you know. 2 o'clock Europe time, and 2 o'clock in the morning.
At least you say something good came out of it.
Oh, of course. But yeah, and you have to understand, Selector, this is a COVID baby. You know, this is a COVID baby, and we were Zooming, we were Instagramming, we were WhatsApping and Facebooking. So
making sure that the music gets out there.
This was different.
Great. So are you planning on any like concert having all these artists on one platform when everything eases off?
Well, I will say that you asked about Rasash. He's you know, I respect what he's doing. He's a conscious rhythm artist, and you know, he's been in the business for some time, but I never heard of him. And I heard his music, and I said, you know, I'd like this you to be on the rhythm. Right. And so I reached out to him, and you know, the rest is history with his single Slave Trade. John Miracle, Cement Kid, aka CK Pragmatic. Cement Kid was on early Manatee Records. He was part of the Manatee Records crew with Frasman, who's bubbling now with his own single. Okay. You know, Call My Number. But Cement Kid and LT and Focus, they were part of the young crew in Manatee Records back in the 90s.
Wow. So what can we, in case of anyone wants to purchase this album, if there's any concert out there, is there anything that we should look forward to in terms of celebrating
the album? Was released April the 16th. Okay. And I have to give shout out to my buddy Mikey D, who's in Miami, for patience. Also, with all the artists that we were working closely. It was to work on a global scale like this. Ja Defender from Trinidad, the artists them in Jamaica, the artists in France, Fidel, the Latin reggae artist, internationally known. Fidel Nadalock, he's from Argentina. I have Sergeant Rima, who is Mexican American, and then we have Belizean artists, Driver, Bastic. We have Michael Lyon, who co-produced the rhythm, and Ja Art. So there's a whole host of people from different
countries,
avenues.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Before we bring the curtains down, Massive, don't forget I'm speaking to the CEO himself. That's Mr. Calvin Flowers, also known as Doc, and we're talking about Manatee Records.
Manatee.
Yeah, Manatee Records, and they've produced a lot of songs out there. And this is, I would say, this song will be a rebirth. This is a rebirth of the Satamasa Ghana rhythm, and is doing really well out there, Massive and crew. Make sure you grab your copy, because in these times you need music like this to to meditate and to do anything that you're doing. So, Mr. Calvin, what is the future? What does the future looks like? Any plans, concert, as I asked earlier on?
There are some plans. There are some plans I have on the drawing board, possibly, a global release event. So, some places are still locked down with the COVID.
Yeah.
And, so we have to be careful. But, I have some plans. We do have plans for concerts in the future. And also we have other rhythms that I'm looking at right now to kick back. The artist Teardrops, he's on all the stations and on all the TV.
Teardrops is one of my ratings for COVID time. When I first got Teardrops and I was playing on radio, the response alone, I was like, Lord of His mercy. You have Master Griffiths and all, the great artists on there. That's a wicked one. Yeah. That's a wicked one.
One other artist that I definitely have is one of the youths from Belize, Mr. Program, who voiced on the rhythm, and shortly he succumbed to gun violence in Belize. So his song "My Religion" is very powerful for me and other artists. So it's inspirational, and that's what I'm finding out with this Sata rhythm. The global artists, they are learning about each other without even knowing that these people existed before this album. So this album is bringing a community of
building a unity.
Yes, this is what Sata Masagana is. You have to give thanks. So when I see the artists them from Belize rattling off the names of the artists them in Jamaica that they never met before, heard of before, without a script, without a written script, this is what you need in music: a communal effort from the producers, from the executive producers, from the programmers, from everybody, from the selectors who are important in spreading this news, as we did back when we were in ancestral homes in Africa.
So talking about Africa and talking about rhythms, because I've heard that most African artists find it hard to jump on this, let's say, Jamaican rhythms and that. And now you being the boss, been in the game for a long time, how would such artists contact, let's say, you or any producer out there who is building a rhythm that they want to jump on it?
Well, Manatee Records, you could reach me on Instagram at Manatee Records or Twitter at Manatee Records. But I just want to touch on that, slightly. I have always, like I said, in Chicago, I've always been involved with the Afrobeat DJs in early days. You know, they used to spin my music in the early 90s, the first Santa Masagana rhythm. And I give thanks to those guys there. And so I was involved with that for a long time. Now I respect all the African artists that are doing reggae. You know what I tell my constituents, I said, because of the digital times that we're in
at the moment, yeah.
This is why we're learning. I'm not learning it, but other people are asking me, how come the African artists, they've always done reggae. Lucky Dube, all of these guys did reggae, and we love Lucky.
We have Alpha Blondie and all of that.
Yes,
and we have the Rocky Dawunis.
You have Pata Rankin.
Yeah.
You have all the other guys, Shatta, Wale.
Yeah.
You know,
the king of the dance.
I endorse these guys because now the African music.
Mr. Calvin, you know what I mean? You're making my day for you. You're the first producer to come and mention Shatta Wale. You know what I mean? To mention about, people like that, and I'm very grateful for that.
It is coming. It is coming.
Okay.
So it is coming. So they could reach me. There are many Popcorn, all these guys all these guys here. Vibes Cartel. They're doing well on Boomplay. And you know about Boomplay. That is the streaming company. And I gotta tell artists, we gotta get and support all these artists, because in the future, Africa is where all the economy will be coming from. So we need to get there and support all the African artists, and they support us so that we could massively control what's coming out of Africa, what's coming out of the African diaspora. So this is one of my major project in the works right now.
Okay, so when you say before, very soon we're bringing everything to an end. But when you say Africa, exactly where is it? The continent itself that anybody can reach you, for rhythms and stuff and that. Because I know there are a lot of artists in Ghana, from where I'm from, that really wants to, jump on rhythms and that, but they don't know how to go about it. Sometimes they hear the rhythm, but they don't know how to even jump on it because they think there might be some infringement and stuff on it.
Well, all my rhythms, they're open for any artist. Just link, Manatee Records, and I'm on social media, and I am not. One of the things that we've been around. Manatee Records have been around for a long time. We work with Jetstar in England. We work with Greensleeve Records. We work with VP Records. We work with Ernie B Records. Those were the early distributors.
The big labels
of music. You see, I know about Metro South. I used to call Greensleeve every day. The big Virus rhythm, the rhythm album, where you had the two rhythms come out, like the Belliers rhythm. So all these. So we're not new to this. We had our own. We had our own distribution office in Jamaica, where we were pressing records and distributing records from Jamaica.
Wow.
And this was global: Canada, England, France, Australia, Belgium. So we had the operations going. So now, since I am retired, I am getting back to that level where, it's at different times with digital. And so, I have a whole host of people who have been very, very important. My digital technological kids that are, far advanced than where we were back when we were that age.
Yeah.
As well as other people such as Miss Spliffy, Sandy Thompson, who was there for the first Santa Masagana rhythm. I have, the Mad Hatter Promotions, Darcy. We have been trying to work together for such a long time, ever since I began doing stuff in Chicago, and with COVID, this is possible. So, and I'm very thankful for her to have stepped in and basically took over this promotions here for this rhythm, as you see, because we have been talking every time we saw each other at the shows. I'm gonna talk to you. We will do some work. But this work here is phenomenal that she's been doing.
She's a really great woman, you know what I mean? From the first time we got in touch and we started talking. We've been friends for a long time, and what she's doing, she's so amazing. Massive and Crew, if you want anything from Manati Records, don't forget, you know what I mean, to contact Mad Hatter Promotion, or you just go to Facebook, look for Manati Records, or YouTube, not YouTube, Instagram Manati Records. That's and also Twitter Manati Records. You know what I mean? They're doing good out there. It doesn't matter where you are. From when you contact them and you're interested in being on any of their rhythms, why not? They are ready to support you. So make sure you contact Mr. Calvin Flowers, also known as Doc. Doc, your advice to upcoming artists, you know, because I have some artists that they said, oh, we have someone that said they want to sign us and buy us a car, you know, buy us a house and stuff. And most artists these days think that, oh, music, there's money in there. So from the moment they start, even if someone is trying to manage them, they put pressure on you that, no, this person is driving, he's an artist and I'm not driving. Any advice to such artists?
Well, I will say this, you know, if you know the history of the artist Teardrops, and you know, with Ras Ash, Ja Miracle, Ja Defender, Ishmael Mcenough, everybody, you have to go through a phase of learning, and your music will be played, but the time that you shine, you have to have patience for that. And here's the story. With the artist Teardrops, I reached out to him and I sent him the rhythm. And I really didn't know, you know, how he was doing music at the time.
Okay.
And so after, when I called him back, we had a conversation. And he told me, he said, you know, Mr. Flowers, I used to work with Manatee Records in the early days. And he recorded on one of my rhythms, and I never knew this young man. And he has a lot of rhythms out. I never knew him. Nobody introduced me to him. And this was just by chance. And also with Ishmael Mcenough, I never knew of him. You know, I was busy doing what I was doing. And so for a young artist, you got to go through the grind. You know, this don't come easy. In the hip hop community, I know from working with the hip hop artists in the States here, it takes about $250,000 US to start doing good work to bring those artists up to radio quality.
You say $250,000 US dollars.
Yes. Wow. For that, I mean, that's where it starts. That's where it starts for radio, for promotions, for everything, for you to be seen and heard in the proper places. In reggae, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, there are, on one day, there were at least 15 albums released, reggae albums released from Jamaica and worldwide.
Every day,
You know that, Selector, when you get your rhythms, you're like, wow, this was released April the 21st.
Yeah.
This one, and so it is very crowded. So you have to come with something special, and you have to do the work.
And the rest will follow.
The rest will follow, trust me. Because people will see you, and people will reach out. And I will tell you, I'm looking for artists every day who are different, who they don't sound like the same, and who are working hard, that I could say, you know, hey, why don't you jump on this rhythm for Manatee Records? And we will do the promotions. And that's what we've been doing with the Sata Masagana Rebirth Rhythm. We've been promoting from Jamaica to France, to Africa, to Canada, and you know, mainstream US. Wow. Because we know that US is the #1 consumer, and that's where the money is spent. So this is why we're doing this whole global. You have to take it global now. You cannot be heard right where you at. So I want to say to my brothers in Ghana, in Tanzania, in Nigeria.
Mr. Calvin, sorry to chip in there. You know, I mean, I know we're going to finish this interview soon, but you know, the reason why most Ghanaian artists, because of the name you mentioned, Shatta Wale, because when they see Shatta Wale, they're thinking, okay, Shatta Wale came in the industry, he went somewhere, came back, and now look at Shatta Wale, how he's making it. Describe Shatta Wale, and then how do you see Shatta Wale as an artist? How do you describe him?
I love Shatta Wale. I love Shatta Wale. You know, I definitely, because number one, and this is my thing.
Okay.
Number one, he's given back, and that is where I believe the African artists will succeed, because they're giving back. They're putting each other on the rhythms. You know, I mean, here in the States, you know, people want to, they want to be paid for their service.
Yeah, of course.
That is the biggest thing. No. If you have an artist that you feel could go on a rhythm, you put the artist on. And so this is not by coincidence. This is part of ranking. These youths, they know what to do. They've looked, they've seen, they know the market. And the African market is very large right now, and so we have to take note of that, And I tell the artists I'm in Jamaica, in Belize, in Trinidad, I tell them, listen, Africa is larger than Trinidad, larger than Jamaica, larger than Belize.
Okay.
So we have to put all and embrace these artists, because this is the future. This is the future.
Okay. Mr. Calvin, I think I will be bringing the interview to an end, and I would like to say thank you so much. But before you go, as a big man, being in the industry for, how many decades, I'm going to put you on the spot. Shatta Wale, Burna Boy, who would you go for?
Say that again.
I said, I'm putting you on the spot, being in the industry for a long time. Shatta Wale and Burna Boy, who would you go for?
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. You're trying to trick me. You're trying to trick me, selector. You're trying to trick me, selector. This is old quiz all over Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Both of them have a different style.
Okay.
And that's what I respect with both of them. I give Shatta Wale, his style, and I give Burna Boy his style.
Okay.
Honestly. They're both successful,
Yeah.
And so this is where the difference come in. The difference come in with their style. I will always listen to Burna Boy, and I always will listen to Shatta Wale, because they have different styles of presenting their lyrics.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Calvin, for sharing with us some of the ideas and what we can do as, let's say presenters, because you've been in the industry for a long time, being with sound system, DJing, helping the community, a whole lot. You've been there, done that. And now you've came out with the rebirth of Sata Massa Ghana rhythm, which is doing wonderfully out there, And so I would like to say thank you so much, and we're very much honored, to have you on this program.
And thank you for having me. Let's do this again. We will do this again.
Definitely. And very soon, I think I'll be sending you more email regarding the artists that want to jump on your rhythm, because I have lots of artists in Ghana that, looking forward to this rhythms from outside.
Feel free. It's open.
Okay.
DJ.
But lyrical content, do you mind? Or it should be no slackness?
No, I mean, listen. We had, here's what's funny. When we distributed in England, the Sata Massa Ghana rhythm, we came out with the Mad Dog crew. And that's where the virus rhythm came from the production. But we had a lot of record stores at the time said, Manatee Records shouldn't do dancehall. Manatee Records should stay in the culture, roots and culture. But as you know, we did some dancehall, and no, we're not. We music is music. We will make that judgment where the radio content should be.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, and Massive and crew. Thanks for your time, your beautiful, wonderful years that supporting this program each and every time. That's Reggae Catalogue that comes your way each and every Wednesdays between the hours of 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. This is where, we speak to the right people, the brains behind the music itself. And tonight, I think we've learned something. And for the first time, such a big producer, he's been in the industry for a long time, from Belize to Chicago, from 1972. He's been doing it from 1992. He's been doing it. So name it. He's done it all, and he's a doctor by profession. Can you imagine? So you never know. Anything that you do it, make sure you do it well with your heart. Yeah. Let's take one tune. From the Satama, not even one tune. Let's take some couple of tunes from Satamasa Ghana, the Rebirth Rhythm. Then when we come back, definitely, something different. News got think nice again.
Bring your queen and leave your machine. Promote them done my see just plastic and plastic on my greens. Rapper dapper, okra and some snapper. Well steam down, come make out to do it proper. Now
sounds coming from Young Wild Apache.
Come from me like gold teeth and sprack a lieutenant and shopper. Early beyond genuine like leather. If a clock's a bank robber, man a dance all top and help wave the banner. Dance all nice again, the fun them can rejoice again. Recognize again.
We no like we are gone in our motherland. Run them out of we yard, cause them a treat poor people like that. Hey, well don't in the ghetto, we nothing not one. Not even piece of land, we make we go plant some can. Police out the road, watch how they fully can. A chance to get to youth instead and show them where I go on. Them politicians with them.
They say when it's nice, it no matter. Right from the TOP, this is what we need in times of. This is what we call the COVID, You don't need that. You need some good tunes to motivate you. When you're on the public transport, that's all you need.
A chance to get
and very soon, through his holy guidance, you'll be able to go out there to party. And definitely, any reggae show that, you pop up, definitely you're going to hear this rhythm. It's fresh.
Verse me thank God to see the bright light, bright light. Me thank Father God to guide me through this day and make my day bright, day bright. I pray sufferation people every day saying that them daylight, daylight.
Life over death and riches over poverty. No make bad mind people.
Musical thinker, wake up list.
Like gravity, from me rising at the morning, that means say me rich. Me get a second chance for do when me wish. Me glad say me do.
Yes, large up going out to Mama Dusty, the musical moderator.
Go babes and give.
You know what I mean? You're doing it big.
Now watch them bad mouth, me now watch critics. Me now go sell out and you know me now snitch. Me day up on the journey, you know me now. Life over death and riches over poverty. No make bad mind people come pull you down. Like gravity, from me rising at the morning, that means say me rich. Me get a second chance for do when me wish. Me glad say me dep on the wake up list. So me go babes and give.
Yeah, follow Manati Records.
Watch them bad mouth me
on Instagram.
Me nah go sell out.
Also on Twitter.
Me day up on
and all the musical platforms. Definitely.
That one mids and
we have a lot out there.
Rich in a hell, but
You heard what he said? He's a doctor by profession,
every day,
but he loves his music because he thinks music is the pure medical. You know what I mean?
profit, work hard for me.
And a lie.
Some boy not fi watch it, man now.
Massive is true, you know.
But mind me,
Because I always say that I give thanks, you know what I mean, and praise to reggae music, man.
them do anything.
Because when I was growing up, I was into this shabarang,
Man in my nose.
you know what I mean, this dancehall thing.
What me wish,
That's how I grew up. But when I met my godfather, Black Santino,
so me go.
I just going out to all of my yard and foreign crew.
Watch them bad mouth.
Inside I salam down, Onu.
Go sell out and you know man nah snitch. My day up on the journey, you know man nah quit. I go and hold a meds and a bun a big slip. Me no see why you should have pull your brother down. When the cake big enough, no figure go
Yeah,
around.
Massive will be taking last one from this rhythm. But most definitely be hearing it more on this show. As you've been hearing it before. You know what I mean?
Every day,
This is where we play the best of reggae music.
me want it.
Both new, current, new.
Some done too soon.
When we say current new, that means it's not being released yet. But on this platform,
Me get us
you get the chance to hear it.
when me wish, me glad
And allow me to tell you,
on the way
that's why we love our listeners out there.
up babes and give her a kiss. Me now watch them bad mouth, me now watch critics. Me now
You
go
are
sell out
listening
and you know
to
me now snitch.
GN
Me day up on the
Radio
journey, you know me now quit. I hold a one mids and a bun a big split.
Chant them down, chant them down. I chant them down, we are chant them down. Ancient memories of all I can't forget. Couple jar off for me high grade, I man recollect. How they enslaved the world and wrapped us in the net. From that tabernacle lifestyle and liberty, them why I disconnect. But I chant them down, chant them down. I chant them down, Rasta chant them down. I chant them down, Black woman she a chant them down. Chant them down, Rasta chant them down. Over all these savages, always devising a plan to manipulate and control everyone. Mr. Jacket and tie you
Sounds coming from Jah Defender.
still you know got
Who's got thing called Chant Them Down.
ignore.
Time check exactly 22 minutes past the hours of 9.
Investing all your wealth in your
And the Massive and crew.
The judge
Yeah, now you can listen to us via tune in and also www.mygn. Did I say mygn? GNRadioUK.com
them down,
and also Radio Garden. Why not? Let's download the apps
them down.
at the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Why not?
Woman, I chant them down.
You hear? Chant them down, we say.
Yeah. I think it drum, clap, rejoice and sing. All exaltation to the King of Kings. I will see Babylon walls crumbling and Rastaman standing. Mount Zion we go, Rastafari flow. Babylon can't stop us, oh no. I chant them down, chant